Well, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Amazing Seller Podcast. This is episode number 349 and session number 107 of Ask Scott. This is where I answer your questions here on the podcast, and I do it every single Friday. And I'm going to do it again today. Super excited to be here. So glad to be able to spend a little bit of time with you and answer some of your questions. Now, let me just remind you, if you want to ask one of your questions and have it aired on an upcoming show possibly, well, head over to theamazingseller.com/ask and do that. Just leave your first name, where you're tuning in from, and a brief question, and I'll do my best to answer it here on the show. I love hearing from you guys, so definitely head over there and do that. All right, now today we're gonna be talking about bundles, we're gonna be talking about testing products and ungating, and we're gonna talk about TRUMPS import tax. Oh my gosh, we're going to get into politics. Not really, but we're going to touch on that as well. Now, I want to remind you guys about the show notes. You can find them by heading over to theamazingseller.com/349. As always, the transcripts will be there for you. Show notes, any links that we mentioned will be dropped in those show notes. So definitely go check those out. I just want to say, guys, like I'm getting so many people in the Facebook group that are just reporting as far as like their journey, as far as like what's going on, like their ups, their downs, and I love it. And I want to really kind of highlight one here right now because I think it's really important. And the one thing I want to highlight, you guys know on Fridays, I generally give you guys like what's on my mind, kind of like a thought or maybe a phrase or something that's kind of top of mind for me or something that's just resonating with me for that week. Well, this one here has to do with milestones. I want you guys to really think about this. I want you to maybe even go back to when you started this journey or maybe any other journey, because I think it's important to go back in time a little bit and see where you started and where you are now. A lot of times we don't look back at where we started. We just kind of look at where we are in the present and we don't reflect back on the things that really got us there and the lessons learned through there. So I want you to remember where you started. Maybe even start to journal it right now. Like maybe today's the day, or maybe you know what it was like when you first started and maybe the things that got you to where you are today, even though you might not be where you want to be yet, there's still milestones, ways for you to celebrate, but also ways for you to reflect and learn from each of those different parts in the journey. So what I want to do here real quick, before we jump into today's live questions is give a little shout out to one of our TASers. And that TASer is Lee Winters. So Lee, I just want to say thanks so much for posting inside of the Amazing Seller Facebook group. And this is exactly what he did here. And I love this because he's reflecting and he's also not getting down on himself and he's just moving forward, right? And he looks at this as a milestone and really, really sweet and simple. He writes, exactly 60 days since my first Amazon sale. So he's saying, okay, my first sale was 60 days ago. And he says one milestone at a time, and he shows a screenshot, and that screenshot gives the 30-day window as far as like what he's done in the past 30 days. So basically, the screenshot has today's earnings, $154.89, 11 units. 7 days was $1,468.98, 102 units. And then 15 days was $3,054.83, 217 units. And then 30 days was $5,011.32, 368 units. So number one, let's give Lee a round of applause. That was an awesome job. And thank you so much for posting that because I think people need to see this. Like there's not going to be all of these numbers all the time of people saying, well, I just did 25,000 last month, or I just did 100,000 last month. Like it's funny. I was doing a Periscope the other day and someone on there said, Scott, I love it how, you're not one of those guys that goes out there and just, talks about the millions or talks about, the $100,000 months and all of that stuff and having all these people on. People a lot of times like to hear stories like this because it shows progress, but it's more obtainable. It's more real. Like that's why I always talk about the 10 by 10 by 1. And that is, if you guys are brand new to the podcast, you don't know what that is, but that just basically means where you're shooting for $100 per day, like starting there and then growing from there. And you can see Lee has done exactly that. He's he's on his way, but he's also not getting down on himself, and he's also reflecting on what he's done here. And a bunch of people jumped in and said, well done, keep learning, keep pushing forward. It seems as though you are on the right track. So just a lot of great support inside of that group. So if you guys are not part of our Facebook community for TAS, definitely go over and say hello and just look around. I mean, I think you're going to learn a ton just from going there. And if you have any issues or any problems, with that, whatever you're struggling with at that time, just go to the search bar inside of that Facebook group and type in what you're struggling with, whether it's sourcing, whether it's shipping, maybe it's product research, and you'll get a ton of other threads that have already been started, and you can go ahead and start looking through those. So definitely wanted to just highlight the Facebook group because it's amazing, and TASers out there, that you guys are awesome. And I just wanted to let you guys know I appreciate you guys for being so supportive to each other inside of that Facebook group. The other thing I should probably mention, some of you may or may not know, but we generally do, I say we, myself, Chris Schaefer, and Dom Sugar, we generally do, pretty much we've been doing it for the past few months, every Friday at 2:00 p.m. Eastern time, we're doing a Facebook Live where we're answering the questions in the TAS community. So if you are not a part of that, or maybe you didn't even know about that, definitely make sure that you're connected inside of our Facebook community, but then also make sure that you're around at 2:00 p.m. Eastern time and you can get on there live. You can ask us questions. It's a way, again, for us to connect with you and help you wherever you are in your journey at that moment. All right. So just definitely wanted to remind you of that. And the last thing I did want to say before we jump into today's live questions that I'm going to be answering here, I wanted to quickly give you a little update on our North Carolina meetup. Some of you have asked in the past, Scott, when are you going to do one in North Carolina? I know that's close to where you are now. I'm in South Carolina, but I'm about 30 minutes to Charlotte. So we decided to do an unofficial meetup in North Carolina, and we're also going to do a private workshop. So we're going to do Friday night will be like an unofficial meetup where anyone is invited, and from there we'll go ahead, hang out for 3-4 hours. Generally, that's what they've been, and we get to hang out, we get to meet each other, we get to talk shop a little bit, and it's just a really cool way for us to connect in this community. All right, so that's what we're going to be doing there, and then we also decided to do a really small, intimate workshop focused on building your external email list, your launch list. And really, we're not just going to be showing the strategy, which we are going to do. We're going to show that. We're also going to build one in front of you, and we're going to build yours with you. So again, it's going to be very small. And the reason is because we're going to be more hands-on here than we have in the past, but it's only going to be for 15 people. So if you're interested, head over to theamazingseller.com/live. And whether you just want to come to the unofficial meetup or if you want to come to the small workshop that we're doing, definitely go there, get all the details, get on the early notification list. And depending on when you're listening to this, it may have already wrapped up, but you can still get on the early notification list for whenever we do other workshops. And if this works out, I might do other ones here more frequently in this area because obviously it's easier for me. And then this way here, we can reach more people. So definitely go check that out. So guys, I'm pumped up. I can't wait to jump into these questions. Let's kick this baby off. What do you say? Let's go ahead and listen to today's first question and I'll give you my answer.
Hey Scott, my name is Filippo and I'm from Italy. I want to thank you, first of all, for all the help and useful infos and advices that you give us. And I couldn't imagine starting with a private label without your podcast. I have found a product which has a few listings which are very similar to each other. Most of them are well done. And I believe that the only way to enter this market is by differentiating myself by using another material which no one else is using, and by entering the market directly with a bundle with the other 5 accessories, which would be something like a starter kit, and no one else is selling a bundle for this main product. The problem with the bundle is that my price would be double or more than competitors for every possible main keyword. And I fear this would prevent me to reach the first pages. Do you think I should start small with just the main product in a different material or give more value and uniqueness from the beginning with the bundle? Thank you very much again, and I hope an answer. Bye.
Hey, Philippe, thank you so much for the question all the way from Italy. That is awesome. So thank you so much. And I'm a big fan of Italy. I would love to visit one day and have some authentic Italian food. That would be amazing. I'm a big Italian food lover. Recently, I've been staying away from the pasta and the chicken parms because, trying to stay in shape and stuff. But definitely on a cheat day, I would definitely be going for that chicken parm. Maybe a little pasta. That'd be really good. Okay, now that I'm really hungry, let's go ahead and let's kind of address your question here. And what you're basically asking, I believe, is you want to differentiate yourself with bundling because there's two products that you think go really well together. And if you put those two together, then you'll stand out, and not a lot of people are really doing that right now. But the fear is now you're going to be priced more. So people that are searching for one or the other, you're going to be more expensive even though you're bundled. I get it. I understand that. So here's my thought. Number one, if you're going to bundle something, you probably should just list them individually too. Now, when you do that though, it's going to add a little bit more complexity to it, meaning you would have to source 3 different products in a sense, because you're going to have individual ones. So that's, one of each. So now you have another SKU, right? So you have 2 SKUs now. And then if you bundle it, that's got to be in one package. So then technically you have 3 SKUs. All right. So there's advantages to that as well. But then this way here, you can still compete on the singles, but you now have the bundle, which then people would buy because if they look at the 2 individual, and you would price it that way too. You would price it where yours, let's say it's $9.95 for the one, $9.95 for the other. I'm sorry, let's do $14.95 for each, and then your bundle is $19.95. So it makes it's a no-brainer to do that. The other cool thing about doing that is if you have people coming in searching for the one item, you're going to show up. You almost use those lower price point products as your lead-in offer. And if you bring people in there and then they're exposed to the bundle, it's a no-brainer. They're going to look at it and go, well, that makes so much sense. I need both of them and I would buy both of them, but I'm going to individually buy one for more. If I spend an extra $5, I get both. No-brainer, right? But like you said, if you go at this thing with just putting the bundle together first, you can try it, but it might be harder to get things going. The other cool thing about this, though, I keep going back to the things that's, the positive things here, is now you also get to have more search terms and keywords around your listings because you have 2 different types of products. So I guess what I'm saying is you got to look at the competition that's there right now for the singles. Can you compete with the singles even though you might not be really super different? Or can you do something to each of those products to make them a little bit unique by not going out and doing new molds and all of that stuff? Are there things you can do there? And is it too competitive to go singly, with each of those products? And could you even compete there if you wanted to? So I know I'm throwing a lot of questions at you, but these are things that you need to think about. And there's things that I can't really decide unless I had this stuff in front of me with the numbers, the depth, the demand, and the history, and all of that stuff that I've talked about before, which is in episode 189. So if you guys want to know more about depth, demand, and stuff, and how I kind of look at the history, that's episode 189. You definitely want to check that out because that'll give you some insight as far as how to kind of reverse engineer those numbers and see what it's done in the past and the depth and all of that stuff. But I think you're on the right track. Now, let me ask you this. Again, I'm asking you, but you're not going to be able to give me the answer, but you can ask yourself this question because this is what I'd be asking you if we were having that cup of coffee, is if you were to take your bundle and let's say you put the 2 together, are you still able to make that a really attractive offer? So meaning if they were to buy one product of each, let's say it is $15 each, and you're going to come in and do a bundle for $22.95, and you're still going to make a good margin on that, that's a no-brainer too, because then you can come into the market a little bit higher because now when people are searching for that single item, you're going to be displayed hopefully on page one if you do a lot of promotion for it, if you do a lot of sponsored product ads and stuff like that. Think about this now. If you have that bundle, and let's say it's selling for $22.95 and your competitors are selling theirs for $15 or maybe even $19.97, that would be great if they were, because now you would come in at $22.95 for two of them. If you started running sponsored product ads to each of those products, so when someone's searching for the single thing, they're going to see your bundle for just $22.95 or even $24.95 and theirs is $19.95. Again, you're showing up to the right people. And, we talk a lot about that, about messaging or finding the right message for your audience or the right target. And by you going after the garlic press, but actually people that search for the garlic press also search for the garlic bag. And now when they search for the garlic press, they see that bundle in front of them and it's really a great deal because they're like, well, I buy the garlic press for $19.95. I can get the garlic press and the garlic bag, which the garlic bag normally is $12.95. I could buy those two together for $24.95 or something like that. You get what I'm saying. So those are some things to think about, to consider. Hopefully this has been helpful, or anyone else out there thinking about bundling. Bundling is a great way to differentiate yourself, but you have to look at exactly what you're seeing here and making sure that you're not going to be overpricing yourself to where no one will even want it because it's too expensive. You have to make it attractive and you have to make it where it's a no-brainer. And by doing that, you really need to go over your costs and go over what you think the max is going to be. And if you can do this as a test run, that would be my first bit of advice. If you can do like 50 or 100 and then just bundle them together. My good friend Rich Kibble has done this in the past really well, where he took two popular products, merged them together, and he really did that in the beginning by having two items shipped to his house, put them in a poly bag or a box, and then shipped them in. So he did it by hand just to really validate the market and the concept that it was going to work. And then it did. And then he had the manufacturer start to package those two together. So hopefully that helped. Let's go ahead and listen to the next question and I'll give you my answer.
Hi, Scott. This is Romil from Ohio. First of all, thank you so much for helping and inspiring so many of us every day. You're truly doing an amazing job. So I have recently started listening to your podcast and I'm in the product research phase right now. Can you please talk about the process of getting ungated, sample ordering and testing the market first, and then ordering the big order like 500 units from Alibaba for a gated category? I'm struggling with the sequence of these three steps. So if you just order the samples to test the market, is it possible to sell it without getting ungated? If not, then how do I get ungated just with the samples? Does Alibaba suppliers provide invoices for samples? Would Amazon ungate me with such a small quantity like 5 units? I would appreciate it if you can shed some light on this topic. Again, thanks for all the help. Have a nice day.
Hey, Ramil, thank you so much for the question. And this is a good question. I like this question because, it can be challenging to get ungated with a handful of your product, right? Because we need to split that up into 3 invoices. As of right now, to get ungated, that is one of the pieces that you need to do to get ungated. The other option, though, that you have, and there's a couple things that you can do here, and I'll kind of go through these with you right now. But the first thing is maybe what you do is you look for a different category that fits what you're selling without it being gated. It has to make sense, though. I wouldn't say to do this just to kind of game the system so you can get your product up and running. I would try to find something that's a related category that makes sense, but yet might not need to be ungated at this point. And then if you start to see that you can get sales, because now even though you're not in that category, you can still promote that product, you can still get sales. It's just pay-per-click will be more expensive and things like that. The ranking might be a little bit more challenging, but again, it'll still get validated. So that would be one option. The other option would be to buy more than 5 units. I know you're trying to do this probably low cost and you're probably trying to do it with just 5 units. I mean, that's really a small order. I would say if you're going to try to get ungated, you're going to want to split like maybe 50 up into, three batches, or maybe 60, and you do 20, 20, and 20 or something like that. And this way here, you have those 3 invoices. If you guys are brand new and you don't know the process of getting ungated, we did a full episode on this in episode 212. So theamazingseller.com/212. And we go through that, myself and Chris Schaefer, and give you a detailed, kind of a way to kind of go through this process step by step. And you guys can check that out if you're interested. I'll also link that up in the show notes. But that's like my recommendation. Like if you're going to go into a category that's gated, you are going to have to go through that process, or you're going to have to find another category that isn't gated that you can still sell that product in that makes sense. All right. The other little bit of advice would be, well, maybe you hold off on this one and you start with another category that's not gated with a different product, maybe one that's related, but then, if you wanted to later, you can then take the 2 products and help them sell each other by, showing up this, frequently bought together and all of those things. So this way here, or if you're doing like an open brand concept, it doesn't really matter. You can just say, okay, on this category, I'm going to hold off on right now. I'm going to go over here to this category because I had another product over here that I was thinking about launching that's not related to this one. And that's what we call our open brand concept. It's where you're launching different types of products under one umbrella brand, meaning something like a Walmart or a Target, they are the umbrella of the brand, and then they sell sub brands underneath, their main brand. So, yes, they have sometimes their own PL products, like Target has their own brand, Walmart has their own brand, usually the grocery stores have their own brands, but I'm not talking about that. I'm saying like, let's say the grocery store sells Tide, but the name of the or Walmart, they sell Tide, detergent. Well, that's a sub brand, obviously underneath. It's a brand that they sell under their umbrella, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. That's kind of the open brand concept. But again, depending on what you're doing is going to decide what you can do here. But hopefully that's giving you a little bit of direction there on what to do. If you have not went through episode 212, I strongly recommend that you do that, because that is the process. And it might be more challenging if you have only a handful of products to do this. You're probably going to need to order more and then have your supplier break that up into different batches. So this way here you can show 3 different invoices, because that is part of the process. All right. So thanks again for the question. I appreciate it, and good luck to you. Keep me posted. And let's go ahead and listen to one more quick question. We'll wrap this baby up, let you get on with your weekend. We'll call it a day. What do you say? Let's do it.
Hey Scott, my name is Jake Bass. I'm calling you from my morning commute to work right now. I just wanted to call in and let you know that I appreciate everything that you do. So does the TAS community. We are all grateful for the information that you provide us. I've been a long-time listener. I'm finally sourced a product, and it's being shipped into the United States from China right now. My main question is, with the current political situation that the United States is in and the possible trade deals being changed or modified, are you concerned at all about sourcing from China? And if so, are you looking into alternative options about sourcing from the United States? I'm sure everybody pretty much inside of the TAS community would love to source from the United States, but pricing is a valid concern, and even selection. So I wanted to see if you had any recommendations, or if that was in your future plans, and if so, what the steps you're planning on taking to source from the United States is going to be. If you could answer my question, I would be very grateful, and keep on pressing on, man. I love your show, and I'm going to continue listening to it. Have a good one, Scott.
Hey, Jake, thank you so much for the question on the morning commute. Man, the morning commute. I hope that it's a decent commute for you. And I'm glad that I'm able to help you with that journey by putting out some of this content for you to consume while you're going to work. I'm not sure if you love your job. Some people do still love their job. I know myself, it was really hard for me. And they didn't have podcasts and stuff when I was getting into, the online world, or even my brick and mortar business in the beginning. Like, podcasts weren't even really a thing. So I can't even imagine how distracted, in a sense, I would be going to work and thinking about, I have to go to work, focus on what I'm hired to do. But then in the back of my mind, I got all of these other things I'm thinking about that I want to work on as soon as I get out of here. Like, the minute I get out of here, like, I gotta start working on this stuff. So anyway, hopefully it's a good drive. Hopefully you still enjoy your job a little. And so I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But hey, thanks so much for the question. Okay, so I've had this question, when the whole politics thing started, and the whole election was happening and all of that stuff, and the big thing was Trump is going to be slapping importers with this humongous tax and all of that stuff. And what are you going to do? Like, what are you going to do, Scott? Are you just going to stop now? Are you going to stop private labeling? Are you going to stop, physical products? Or what are you going to do? Are you going to stop? And the answer is no, I'm not going to stop. Am I really thinking that far down the line? Not really. So many things can change. If we sit here and we think about everything that could happen, we'll never do anything. Never. So I'm still looking at products in China. I'm still sourcing products in China. I'm still selling products that we get from China. And if that happens, it happens, and then we'll deal with it. The worst case is we're going to pay more money for our products, so we better have good margins. And then we'll probably have to then consider U.S. suppliers and say, can we work with them? At that point, maybe we have a good volume going that we say to a U.S. supplier, listen, we order 5,000 units a month of these. What can you do for us? Maybe it works out to our favor. I don't know. But I will say this. If all we do is sit here and think about what's going to happen or what could happen, Amazon just came out with another update about their reviews, right? Well, I'm sorry, not about reviews, about follow-up. They did reviews a little while back. That was a big thing, right? And now all of a sudden it's like with the follow-up emails, like they're giving the customer a way for them to stop getting your emails. Oh no, now what do? Do we stop? Is it over? Are we able to, still, reach our customers some way? Yeah, there's still ways, you're still going to follow up. As of right now, you can still send emails, through your Amazon account, as you always could. It's just, they have the option to opt out, which I don't think is a bad thing, because if you're hitting them over the head every day with an email to buy another product, I actually had someone reach out to me and say, Scott, can I email through Amazon all of my past customers and let them know of a new product that I have coming out? And the answer is no. Like, that's what they're saying. If you're following up with them on a recent purchase and you're making sure that they are happy and that they're satisfied and you're giving them extra value, they're not going to care. They're just not going to. Yeah, you're going to get a handful that are like, you know what? I don't want to hear from this company. I just bought from you. I don't want to keep hearing from you. You're just going to get those cranky people, and that's okay. We don't want those people on our list anyway. So, it's just a way for them to be able to unsubscribe. So it's not a big deal. All right. And I know that's not your question, but what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of changes that are going to happen. There's more changes coming, guys. I'm telling you that right now. Amazon is going to do other changes as more sellers come in, as they get bigger, as they get more traffic, as things happen, things evolve, they're going to change things. And guess what? Google's going to change things too. They're going to change the way that they rank websites. Guess what? Facebook, they're going to change their ad platform again. And they're going to change, how we get to communicate with people on Facebook. And guess what? Instagram's going to change. Like, there's always going to be changes. The other thing that's going to happen here, I'll tell you this right now. I'm going to predict this. If you're in a local area, or your local area, and there's a coffee shop there, mom and pop, I can guarantee you that there's going to be another coffee shop within probably 5 miles launched or opened, and that person is going to be devastated because now they have competition, more competition. I remember with my father's business going back in the construction days where there was a Lowe's that was getting ready to build about a mile down the road from us, 1 mile. Now you would say, well, okay, that's just building supply materials. No, they started offering installation services. Oh my gosh, we had a meeting and we brought everyone in and we're like, we got to step up our game. We got to focus more on customer service. We got to offer, lifetime warranty with free exchange and like all of these different things. We started to panic because Lowe's was coming in. But you know what? It didn't really hurt our business. If anything, people came to us because they didn't want to deal with a big major company. Yes, some people did still. They went there because it was cheaper. But you always have people too that still want to get service. They still want to know who they're communicating with. That's just like our photography business. Like we could have grew that bigger without myself and my wife being a part of, the picture taking, but then we would have lost the personal touch, right? You could have Sears, who I don't even know if they still do photography, but people would go there and get their package that they would advertise, get one pose, but you'd get 100 different pictures in this little package for like $15. We were still selling ours for over $150, and we had people coming in every single day, right? So my point is this, and I know that I'm kind of going off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it's necessary. Don't sit there and think to yourself, I just heard something's going to happen, so should I not do anything? The answer is, if you feel like you're going to be thinking like this all the time and you can't get past it, then being an entrepreneur is not for you, period. If you are going to be dwelling and thinking about this stuff day in and day out, it's not the right business for you. But let me ask you this. You're driving to work right now, maybe, okay? And you're thinking to yourself, this is a slam dunk. I'm going to work. I'm going to get paid next week. You know how many people have been let go at the end of that week? There's been a lot of people that go to work that morning and they find out at the end of the day that they no longer have a job after the next 2 weeks or they're downsizing. Like that's happened all the time to people, right? It's been happening for years. So there's things that are going to happen. This Trump thing, I have no idea if it's going to happen. Do you know how many things it has to go through? You know how many channels it has to go through to get approved? Everyone thinks that, Trump came in and all of a sudden, everything he says he's going to do is going to happen. We all know that that's not the truth. He can just voice his opinion or he can say, this is what I want to do. Start the bill. And it's got to be passed. It's got to be voted on. Like, it's not just his decision. He's the driving force, yes, but it's just him giving, this is what I want to do, and he's going to get his team behind it. But then it's got to be voted on, by Congress and whatever other channels it has to go through. But so many people think just because he said it, it's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It might happen, and you know what? If it happens, it happens. Then I'll deal with it. But I'm not worrying about dealing with something that I have no control over right now, and I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. Like it's just not going to happen. So anyway, I'm sorry for the tangent. I think it was necessary. And, I just feel very strongly about change and pivoting. And it's been happening for me, since I started out of high school working for my father and seeing all the changes in that business and then going into photography and then being in that business and seeing all the changes there and then building websites and getting them ranked and then seeing Google change things and then we lose our rankings. I've seen all this stuff happen. Facebook ads, like I was running Facebook ads for my photography business. Then they made changes and then all of a sudden it was harder. Now all of a sudden what? Do you stop running ads? No, you just adapt. That's it. You're just adapting and pivoting and not thinking too far ahead because things are going to change. So you heard it here first. Things are going to change. All right. And you're going to have to adjust. It's just the way it works. All right. So guys, I think that's going to wrap it up. I got a little fired up there at the end, but I think it was necessary, and I hope you guys got some value from that. And hopefully it sets your mind at ease, or it lets you say to yourself, maybe this isn't for me, and if that's the case, I want to be that voice for you too, to let you know that it's not all rosy. Like there's not always going to be this awesome part of the journey going through this entrepreneurship. It's not. Like there's ups and downs through anything. You've always, heard people say, grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence. And I believe that. Like you think it might be until you get there. Then you're like, you start complaining. And then, think about it. How many times have you done that? You probably said the exact same thing. You're like, man, if I could just do that, my life would be perfect. And then you go ahead and you do it and you get it. And you're like, you start complaining about that thing, and it's just a matter of time. So just think about that. Every time you're thinking about complaining, think about it for a second and ask yourself, is it really worth complaining? And are you thinking too far down the line? All right, guys. So that is going to wrap up this episode. Remember, the show notes can be found at theamazingseller.com/349. And you can get all the show notes, the transcripts, links that we talked about there. And I just want to remind you guys about the milestone thing in the beginning that I talked about. Remember where you started. I think that's important to remember. Remember where you started. Write it down today where you are, and then look back at it 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, and you'll be amazed at what you've done. Not just all of the good stuff you've done. Yes, that's cool, but you're going to also see what you learned by going through some of these sticking points. And I really, truly believe that. So guys, that's it. That's going to wrap it up. Remember, as always, I'm here for you. I believe in you, and I am rooting for you. But you have to. Come on, say it with me. Say it loud. Say it proud. If you're in the car, if you're on the run, say it out loud. Take action. Have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode.